Hi there, welcome to the latest news on the Noah Presgrove case, an important analysis today of a new interview in which Jack Newton, the best friend to Noah, has taken part in. That's quite shocking news, that, considering whilst Jack has been very talkative online in the past, kind of went quiet for some time, just recently popping up, giving his thoughts on Carter Combs' threatening text in which he basically defended her, even though technically they split up, but maybe secretly there's more than meets the eye to that. If you do want to catch up on that video, well, top right corner of the screen where the eye symbol is, click there later in this video towards the end, after watching this, you'll be able to find it. But right now, we're taking a look at a new interview taking place, an exclusive one by people.com. We the people. Now, this is not like video format. We're looking at a transcript, so you can see it yourself word for word instead of me doing my typical summary. Summary, because it tends to be twice the length of the interview. I know, but we do need to lock in focus, right? So while I was looking at this transcript, this article, if you want to put it like that, with key quotes from what Jack has said, it'll be interesting to compare and contrast to what he said in the past. Now, granted, I'm not going to know everything, right? All the stories which Jack has talked about in the past, maybe before I got involved in the case, because it has been ongoing for quite some time now. If there's certain points that I don't pick up on, that's just because I'm not aware of. I just wanted to make that clear. I'm not intentionally missing things out. If you notice any contradictions, shocking, stark contrast to what he's saying now compared to what he said back then, you can leave your comments down below. You can share your reactions. And in your comments, you can even give a timestamp within this video as to where it shows up. So whether I look back at it myself and learn, or other people who aren't aware. You can interact in the comment section down below under this video. It helps spread awareness of my video itself, so then more people hear about it, and then more people can see my analysis of the matter. Because, you know, people can be and may have been very critical of Jack Newton, so it'll be interesting to see what he responds back to and how he goes about stuff. Now, if it was done in video format, like a face-to-face interview, like what we've seen with Caden Pressey, where he put himself out there, and yes, it's led to backlash, but he was brave enough to do it. When it comes to Jack Newton, he's not exactly done that. He did it officially, like really early on with News Nation, but he was on the highway, he was wearing sunglasses. Now, there was a comment that mentioned it recently, but I actually picked up on it much earlier, but I didn't think there was time to make a video about it. But does anyone think that when Jack Newton does interviews or may talk here and there, he tends to be wearing sunglasses? Is there a reason behind that? Well, people normally wear sunglasses, maybe if it's really warm, hot, sunny, there's bright lights, glare, you know, you don't want that. You want to be able to look around without squinting your eyes. I guess that depends what environment you're in, what country, and the temperature, the heat, the sunlight specifically. And even like when you're going fishing as well, wearing sunglasses there. But during an interview, when maybe there isn't sunlight, is it done for other reasons? Some people will wear sunglasses the following day after a hangover because of the eyes or something. They want to cover them, sensitive to light, I think. But sometimes people will wear glasses to conceal their eyes because it can reveal a lot about people's eyes, their pupils, how they may dilate. That can mean something when you're in the presence of another person, how the eyes can widen. I don't know if you can tell the truth or a lie from when someone's talking if you look directly into their eyes, but it's just another form of body language, especially if there's a lack of eye contact given. It could be because you're nervous, just naturally, or maybe because you feel a bit guilty and you can't directly look them in the eye and tell them a lie, which you're trying to conceal as a truth, right? So that's one way of looking at it. The sunglasses, it covers the eyes, it covers their soul in a way. In this interview, well, there's no video footage of the interview, at least to my knowledge, so we're only looking at it word for word, so you don't get the body language aspect. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We'll just work with what we've got. It's good enough that Jack Newton has done an interview. Whether people like him or not, it's good that it's happened, because if he has been criticised over and over again, sometimes people can be pushed away or may escape to lay low, but that's not the case with Jack. So we'll see what he's got to say, and if he does acknowledge any of the resistance or questions online, and such as 4 in the morning, that key timestamp, right? And If you are interested in other like coverages or my analysis on takes, but by people with their takes, well, you can always look at last night's video about David Paulides. He's got involved in the Noah Presgrove case as well, but it's quite shocking. Be sure to catch up on that when you do have time after watching this video. As I said, iSymbol, all of those key important videos are available one click away, all under control. Before we go any further, welcome to everyone that is watching live. Share your thoughts and reactions in the live chat box, right hand side of the screen. Big shout out to the people recently for supporting this channel through the super chats, super stickers, such as last night. It was very good to see, of course. And down below in the pinned comment section, there will be some additional links. My comment if you want to support this channel. With that all being said and done, let's get straight into the latest interview of Jack Newton and see what it's all about. Here we are. As you can see on screen, the title reads, "What Noah Presgrove's best friend says happened the night before he died." Well, if we're talking about the night before he died, I'm assuming Sunday night. Now, Caden Pressey has briefly referred to Sunday night himself when, I believe, around the time of when hearing Noah wanting to have a shower, but not actually seeing it. And also Caden Pressey referring to at 10:30 being sober or sobering up because his cousin came on down. Okay? What does Jack have to say? Now, it doesn't say Jack's name directly in the title, just referring to him as Noah's best friend. But as we know, it's Jack Newton. This is an exclusive by thepeople.com, and just underneath, like a little subheading, in an interview with People, Jack Newton remembers the hours before Noah vanished from a party and his body was found by the highway. So Jack Newton remembers the hours before Noah vanished? Yes, but what about the different timestamps and times given by him in the past? If he truly remembers, then there would be no need for things switching and changing, right? Unless he suddenly remembered something different now, and we're getting a different story. Guess time will tell. This was published July 22nd, 2024, and it's not been edited, like when you get the Daily Mail. So, let's see what this is all about. If you want to pause the video at any time to read through it, you can. You can rewind this video as well. You have the control there. I'll read it out, and if you want to listen in, feel free to do so. And as I said, if you pick up on any inconsistencies or contradictions which I don't notice, you can always leave comments down below along with the timestamp attached, so then people can catch on from it, okay? So, it reads, "In the dark of early morning, by the glow of headlights, Jack Newton says he came upon his best friend's naked body laying on the side of Highway 81 in Oklahoma on September 4th, 2023. So this is in reference to Monday, early morning. And in terms of how it's worded already, Jack Newton says he saw Noah Presgrove's naked body. Oh no. Oh no. Because it was at 5:15 when Jack got back to the party house in which Caden recalled from looking at his phone about the news of Noah being dead. So much earlier on. And although this short little intro does not give the exact time, whether that be 6 in the morning when Jack got there, or should we say returned back, or if we're referring to just before 5:15, but I would assume and say this is probably in reference to 6 in the morning onwards when he got back, because the body was naked. Because the second wave of truck drivers, Tyler and Tyler Hardy, said that they saw Noah's body naked, okay? Caden Pressey saw Noah clothed down below, wearing black shorts. And surely Jack Newton would have seen the same thing when he was there at the same time as when Caden was present. Hell, Jack was supposedly there before Caden was present, 4 in the morning, from what he said in his text, Jack, about Noah passing away. Now, I know I'm jumping in at the deep end, but the way it's worded here makes it sound like the first time round when Jack came across Noah's body was 6 in the morning. And that's because the body was naked by then. And yet an hour or so earlier, Caden saw Noah Presgrove's body clothed. So it's just not a good start, is it? This like little interview intro. So in relation to that time, it says, Jack Newton, he slowed down and got out of his truck. In quotes by him, it just seemed like he was drunk, passed out on the side of the road when I first seen him. Jack, 19 years of age, recalls of Noah Presgrove's mysterious death in an hour-long interview for People's latest cover story on Newsstands Friday. Right. It just seemed like he was drunk. Seemed like he was drunk. Of course he was drunk when you checked the the alcohol levels afterwards. Was it 0.14 over the limit? But nevertheless, of course he's going to be drunk because you were at the party drinking. Oh, he looked drunk, by the way. Well, of course you're going to be drunk, or there's high chances you are, because you've been drinking alcohol. You were together at the party earlier for several days. Have we just suddenly forgotten that? What a stupid observation to make. I mean, I probably could think of some silly examples on the spot, but, it's just not really necessary. It just seemed like he was drunk, passed out. Oh, yeah, because you just randomly are passed out on the side of a highway with a bit of blood present and your scalp ripped off. But then again, in fairness, Jack is just saying what he saw when he first saw Noah's body. I'm guessing from a bit of a distance, but this sounds like it's just jumping on in halfway through the story and not actually recalling the beginning. They're kind of wording this as the beginning when this is actually supposedly to do with 6 a.m, the second or third time round when Jack returned back to the scene. And yet they're wording this as if this was the beginning of it all happening. No, it wasn't. The hell's going on here? But let's just see. There we go. Hours earlier, Jack and Noah Presgrove had been celebrating a friend's 22nd birthday at a home outside Terrell, Oklahoma, about a mile's drive away. Yeah, okay. The 22nd birthday party, the girl was known as Avery Combs, and supposedly Noah Presgrove was with Avery Combs in the past, boyfriend-girlfriend, but at the party, they were just friends, and supposedly Noah called Avery a fat beeb. Supposedly. Is that what led to the death of Noah? Maybe not, but it's just a little detail I wanted to add in for context. It says, now, Noah, wearing only mismatched slip-on shoes with a pair of undamaged white shorts nearby, was dead, with a cracked skull and fractured spine. There's a little bit more to it than that, right? To say that Noah was only wearing mismatched shoes. He was wearing shorts, though, at a point. To say that the pair of undamaged white shorts were nearby, well, we've heard stories that they were nearby the body. We've heard stories from Tyler Hardy that they were in the middle of the road, unfolded. So the hell's going on there? And to say that the white shorts are undamaged, well, of course they're going to be undamaged if they weren't worn at the time when Noah was alive or during the death of Noah, or if he was dumped there. They were exchanged a bit later after Caden left, but before Tyler and Tyler Hardy arrived for the first time to make that call. And when I say arrived, I don't mean they arrived as in intended that they knew what was going to be there, but, they arrived at the scene or they passed by the scene, or at least one of them passed by, then the other one parked up. You get what I'm saying, right? But like in the eyes of Caden Pressey, who saw Noah's body around the same time as Jack, but earlier on, together, that Caden said Noah was wearing, yes, mismatched shoes, one of which was his, the Hey Dude one, but black shorts were on Noah's body. And then hours later, not wearing shorts now, and they've done a disappearance act because now white shorts have popped up. So obviously they've been changed, swapped about. Maybe the black shorts were deemed as evidence and whoever was responsible or knew something decided to get rid of them, clean them, and then hand them back afterwards. It just seems a bit dodgy to me. Handing over shorts to a family member but not handing them in to the police as evidence, yeah, that's normal. Not. Okay. There's a photo of Noah. In quotes, this is what Jack says. He was laying on his side. Okay, correct. His knees were kind of pulled up to his chest a little, implying a fetal position. Oh, no. Jack, noting that the 19-year-old who had graduated high school just months before was right by the white traffic line off the rural roadside. So most of that makes sense, except for the bit about the knees were supposedly pulled up to his chest. Now, yes, that does reinforce the whole fetal position talk and discussion, but let's make it very clear, because what Jack says here does not match up with what Caden saw earlier. It does not match up with what Jimmy Williams saw, the police guy first on scene, saw later at 6:18 a.m. onwards. Let's run that down very quickly. Feel free to listen in. So Jack is saying that at a certain time, even though this article and interview hasn't even given the time, but we're implying that it's 6 in the morning onwards to suggest that Noah's body is naked, because it was at least 5:43 a.m. onwards when Noah's body was naked. But before that, around 5:20 to 5:30, Noah wasn't naked and was wearing shorts, based off Caden Pressey's witness account. Okay? So Jack was there to see Noah with the shorts on, and earlier, from the looks of it, when we look at those text messages, 4 in the morning, passing away, well, Jack would have had to have been there to see that, to then text people later to announce that. We've seen it all. Justin Roy's documented it as well. It's all under control, all available out there. But if we're talking at 5:43, when Tyler and Tyler Hardy reported seeing the body on the side, reporting it as naked, clothes nearby or in the middle of the road, but naked the body, well, that's closer to 6 a.m. in the morning than it is 5:24 a.m., right? Much earlier on. So this is all still talking about 6 in the morning onwards, when Jack returned back to the scene and then 5 minutes later decided to call his father, right? Why hasn't this article and interview not given the bloody time? It'd be so much easier, right? But, you know, if you know about the case, you kind of get where they're referring to here exactly on the timeline, right? But to cut it back, as I said, in the eyes of Jack Newton, Jack says that Noah Presgrove on his side. Okay, that's what Caden said. That's what Jimmy Williams said. So that's consistent. His knees were kind of pulled up to his chest a little. Could be inferred from a fetal position or near to a fetal position. Did Caden Pressey say that Noah was in a fetal position at 5:20 in the morning when Caden was there? No, that wasn't the case. Did Jimmy Williams announce that afterwards at 6:18 a.m. when he got down there? No. Jimmy Williams said that Noah Presgrove's legs were straight. Straight as in not folded up, not pulled up, but straight as if you were stretching out and they were close together, right? So that does not match up with Jack's point of view. So what the hell is Jack seeing? At what point did Noah end up in the fetal position then? Unless Jack is like slip of the tongue saying that, yeah, Noah was in the fetal position, just not at 5:20 a.m. onwards, but earlier on. What, during the disposal? During the death, the possible murder of Noah? You know what I'm saying? Where the hell did the whole fetal position come from in the first place? Must be Jack, as he mentions it here. And all the people talking about it in the community over time must have been influenced or just listened to what Jack had to say. And yet, ever since, Caden Pressey says something completely different from what he individually saw. And Jimmy Williams as well. So it's like 2 against 1, right? Caden Pressey, party goer, witness, friend to Noah, says different to Jack. And then you've got Jimmy Williams, police guy, first on scene, later on, says something different to Jack. So Jack is the odd one out here. You can possibly describe Noah's body being like a bloody mannequin. Why? Well, if you think about it, it was moved about a little bit. Supposedly body moved in the first place, dumped on the side of the highway, but then body adjusted afterwards when the shorts were being pulled off. And then adjusted after that. So what is going on? It's just a bit dodgy, isn't it? Now, let's see what else. In more than a dozen interviews with law enforcement, partygoers, friends and family and others at the scene, many details of Noah's death, what he looked like when his body was found and what happened after, are still uncertain. Is that true? Dozen interviews. Has there really been a dozen interviews? Can anyone back that up? I mean, what type of interviews are we talking about? Like this one, what we're looking at right now? Informal, formal interviews? Interviews with police? Because I thought there was a range of different people from the party who have still not been named till this day. So you couldn't have done a dozen of interviews, because if you did, then the 30, 40 people who are going at the party, we would all know their names by now, including the Texas boys, the different groups of them, and yet we haven't really. So I don't think the law enforcement have done dozens of interviews, or at least they've not been made public at least. Let's just make it like that, publicly, not seen them all. Friends and family, they've been interviewed. I don't know, because I've just not seen it myself. Might have been a lot of stuff in the background, but if it's not public, then we're not going to know or see, or at least I'm not. So what's your thoughts on that? The many details of Noah's death, what he looked like when his body was found, and yet there seems to be people within the case that are very certain about it's just a hit and run, very simple, closed case, that's it, done. But in terms of the many details, in different ways of how you look at it, maybe, some think it's hit and run, others think it's a beating, but I think maybe those within have spoken out more and been more vocal and verbal as for a certain agenda and a narrative, compared to the odd few genuine ones. I believe it could be something else. Okay, whether they've publicly announced that or not, maybe not. Anyway, much of the truth of his final hours, Noah's final hours, is still clouded by competing accounts, speculation and rumour, or the sheer fact that police have not yet finished their investigation. They've not yet finished. Have they even started when they've not even bothered searching the property, the house, tracing it back to where Noah was last seen and why he was supposedly drunk? No, they've not done that. Can they do it now? Long gone. Wasted opportunities. Delays. Not proactive. Well, that's typical. Maybe convenient for some within the case, right? And to go on about, oh yeah, there's so many competing accounts. There might be. But even Jack Newton is like a person having an argument with themselves, because he can't even get his own story straight and clear, because he's switching and changing it up like you would with the washing and laundry. Just stick with a bit of consistency. People can be consistently shit. Oh well, at least it's straight to the point and it's stable. People could be a consistent pathological liar, but at least it's somewhat consistent in following a certain story, recounts of an event. But in this case, it's so all over the place, times that by the amount of people that were present at the party, it's just a bit of a mess. And then the friends of friends, or the parents, or the sisters, etc., gone in, sisters of parents, whatever you want to refer to that as family trees, are speaking on behalf of third-party representatives who weren't even there at the party. So why are they even talking? Right? Why are they being interviewed? If they weren't there, they weren't there. Are they involved in the case? Not really. Did they get themselves involved in the case? Absolutely. The exception could be Renee Millan, just as an example. Okay? Not a party goer, but a parent, the mother to Jasmine Millan, etc., who came on down early hours of Monday morning, supposedly at 6:30, but she claims to be there at 7, and yet Caden said at 7 they all left. So that's a great start already, isn't it? But you get the idea that from Friday, let's say, because that's when the whole thing started, from Friday to Monday, anyone that was at the party house or property could be a key witness, a person of interest, and should be interviewed and checked. Whether you're a friend, party goer, invited, unwelcomed, a brother, a sister, a cousin, a mother, a father, if you were there at some point between Friday and Monday morning, you're relevant to the case. As for everyone else who wasn't even there, or not even in the county, not even in the country, on holiday in Greece, wherever, whatever, I don't think they play a role. But they get themselves into the case. They stick their bottoms into the case, or more so the mouths, because that's where it comes out of what they talk about, and it's not exactly good, is it? So, and you wonder why there is uncertainty are people within the case certain themselves? Well, they can't seem to get their own stories straight and clear, can they? Oh yeah, we turned up this time in the morning of Monday, and this person and that person was there. But then Stevie Howard says, well, no, I actually wasn't there myself, but Sarah Long says she were. Or was it Brooke or something, or some other person? There's so many bloody names out there, but, you know, it's just like, one person says one thing, another one says, yeah, you were there, weren't you? And they say, no, I wasn't. No, but you were there. Bloody hell, is it that difficult? You were either there or you weren't. It's simple as. So, not exactly truthful. What else do we have? But records and recordings reviewed by people confirm some details, including that Noah Presgrove had walked away from the party, that he and Jack attended before he died, and that he was first spotted by passing drivers on Highway 81 before 6 a.m. local time on September 4th. Oh, now we're mentioning 6 in the morning. I'm assuming by what they mean with this, spotted by passing drivers just before 6 in the morning, but after 5:30 a.m. Yeah, I think we're talking about 5:43 in between that to 5:53 when Tyler and Tyler Hardy came on down and made the calls in officially, and that was documented. Police dispatch records. Audio was shown. We've heard it. I think there might be some extended stuff elsewhere. I'll have to try and get to that eventually, but you know, you get the idea. That's what this is referring to. And it wasn't just them that came across the situation. It was earlier, okay? The other two sets of truck drivers, the first sets, the unknown individuals, right? Why is that not mentioned? But it's interesting how it states here that records and recordings reviewed confirm that Noah did walk away from the party. Now, yeah, I've referred to that several times in my own videos based off the timestamps that we've been given, even from the likes of Jack. And the only reason why I stuck to that is because there was no one contesting it or giving an opposing time. Right? So you just stick with what's consistent, and that's an example of one being consistent. Just like the 5:15 timestamp, that's consistent. Granted, the only person that counted it was Stevie Howard that says maybe an hour out. Maybe it was 6:15, not 5:15, but, you know, no one else has backed it up. It's only Stevie Howard, and they're not exactly too trustworthy from how they've behaved and acted, and their attitude, of course, and insults and threatening behaviour. It's just not a good look. But This is just not looking good. So you're saying that we've received records and recordings to confirm that Noah walked away. What does that mean by records, recordings, records, whatever you want to call it? From what Jack has stated in an interview, or from timestamps, or from video footage camera CCTV, which would have shown and reinforced whether Noah did leave or not at that time, how far he actually made it. But oh no, the cameras weren't working at the time, as Stevie Howard states, but they were working afterwards when the Texas boys left after Noah left, supposedly. Well, that's great, isn't it? Very convenient. Turns on and off. Very dodgy. Very. And you know what? Maybe the cameras were working, and maybe some of the footage was deleted afterwards. If people deleted social media stuff, if people did the factory reset on their phones, there would have been more than enough time to look at the CCTV footage by the family and delete certain stuff, unless it's saved to the cloud somewhere. But the police made no attempt at looking at that footage because there was no need in the first place for them to actually search the property, so they wouldn't be checking the cameras either. But if they did, and they did it earlier, one thing could have led to another, a chain reaction of evidence maybe, if they were proactive enough. It just didn't happen. That's not good. So, what do we have? Let me know what you think about this, okay? Noah walking away from the party. Yeah, he could have attempted to walk away, but how far did he make it? This article, or this interview up to now, kind of suggests or implies that the only reason why he was on the highway is because he walked away from the party. So he walked from point A to point B and something happened in between that. Let's see. Authorities who soon arrived to the scene, which basically means around 6:15, 6:18 a.m. onwards. Okay? Initially, authorities thought the case could be a horrible road accident, a hit and run, but soon their suspicions darkened. What? If their suspicions darkened, then more action should have been taken. But it wasn't, was it? A silver plated chain necklace from Noah's grandmother, which he wore every day, lay scattered in pieces near remnants of a tooth. Oh, in remnants of a tooth. And yet it was either Jeremiah Wilson or Jimmy Williams that said more than one tooth. So what is the deal there? One tooth or multiple? That differs, doesn't it? The only interesting thing that stands out to me here is that they seem to be confirming that that chain necklace, 3 broken pieces of it, does that form the complete chain necklace? I don't know. Because if it doesn't, where's the rest of the necklace then? At the spot where he was actually supposedly murdered at, I wonder. But it's interesting here how they confirm that the chain that was found near to Noah's body was of the necklace he normally wears and what we saw in the party footage. Is it 100% confirmed that? Well, to be honest, the autopsy report didn't truly confirm it. They just said 3 pieces of a chain. 3 pieces of chain was found. Did they directly call it a necklace? Not from what I can remember. Did they refer to it as Noah's possession? Not from what I can remember. So these people seem to know more. So there's a lot of talk, but where the hell is Jack at? Where's he at talking? It says the base of Noah's skull was split in 2 and an 8-inch head wound had peeled part of his scalp to the bone. His later autopsy revealed that he died of blunt force injuries. But the actual death situation is treated as a mysterious or unknown or suspicious death. Tyler Hardy, a local trucker, and one of the 2 911 callers was already at the scene when Noah's best friend arrived that morning. Oh no. One of the 2. Okay. Do you know what? I think that might be okay, that. Tyler Hardy, 5:46 a.m. first call, 5:53 a.m. second call, which was successful. But in terms of all the calls made, there was a total of 3 calls. The first caller, 5:43 a.m. roughly, when Tyler, the semi-truck driver, made the call. Then, followed by 5:46 a.m., Tyler Hardy, the local trucker in his Ford F-150 who was supposedly driving behind the other Tyler in the semi-truck. Okay? I think. Yeah. At the time, the first Tyler, who saw it first because he was front of the line in his truck, he couldn't stop because people were behind him. So he had to drive on past, make the call whilst driving. If it was a hands-free device, I guess you could do that. And then having to turn around to then park up. But by the time getting back to park up, Tyler Hardy was already able to park up. Probably because Tyler Hardy was at the back of the queue of those vehicles and no one was behind him, so he could pull up quicker and no one would rear-end him. So I get that, that makes sense. 5:46 a.m. when Tyler Hardy made his first call, which was deemed as the second call in total out of all the people that called in to that police department or the dispatcher call, whatever you want to call that. 5:46, it was failed. It didn't work. It was static. So Tyler Hardy tried again, 5:53 a.m., and it was successful. So in total, 3 calls were made, and there was 2 people that made those calls. Tyler did the first call, and it was successful at 5:43, roughly. Tyler Hardy did the second call, which was his first call, which was unsuccessful. So he did his second call, which was the 3rd call in total, as out of all the calls made. I hope that's not too confusing. I know my language can be a bit dodgy at times. So, in quotes, it says, "You know this kid?" Jack recalls Hardy asking. And I'm sure when they say Hardy, yeah, Tyler Hardy. So Tyler Hardy asked Jack, "You know this kid?" And Jack says, "He's my best friend," Jack said. Hardy had to pull Jack away from the friend he had known since preschool and grown close to in middle school. The 2 were almost always together, Jack says. Hardy had to pull Jack away from Noah's body. I mean, yeah, if you're emotional and you've seen someone dead for the first time, it's a lot to comprehend. You don't want to leave the person. You want to remain on site. You might have a bit of denial as well. And if anyone tries distancing you from that loved one, even if they're dead, you might get a bit defensive or you might struggle, you might resist. But it's weird for that reaction from Jack when Jack supposedly already knew and was already around Noah's body earlier at around 5:15 to 5:30 and even beyond. And then even 4 in the morning. So there was like 3 different times when he was there at the highway, right? So why did he not react like that earlier on then? Or did he? Because it makes you think, around 5:15 in the morning onwards, when Caden got there and Jack was returning back there, at 5:30, one of the unknown truck drivers told Caden and the group of guys to get back out. Get out, leave. You're not welcome here, in a way. Causing trouble, and they were frustrated for some unknown reason. So they left. But what? Jack's given the VIP access to stay? Well, I guess if he announced himself earlier, before or after the truck drivers arrived, and said, I'm Noah's best friend, it's like what Jack is referring to here about this situation later with the second wave of truck drivers is almost word for word the same as in what probably could have been said the first time round earlier. It literally feels like and looks like double vision. Two different sets of truck drivers in which in two different times Jack is there talking to them and he's allowed to stay in both scenarios and situations. Could it be all of the same event? Well, from what Caden said, that's not the case, because when Caden was there, he didn't see Tyler Hardy. He saw other truck drivers. Could there ever be a massive misunderstanding that altogether it was all of the same thing? Ooh, that would really be an unfortunate outcome, especially when there's such a big divide at this moment in time in terms of what one person saw compared to what the other saw. Time will tell, though, if there are any more twists around the corner. That's an old photo from the past. I think Jack's on the left, Noah's on the right. Is that correct? Yes. So, back in his truck that morning by the highway, Jack says he called his dad, with whom he had planned to go on a fishing trip later that morning, to instead meet him at the scene. Now, no time is given, so that's great. But from what we've heard of, it was 6:05 in the morning when Jack decided to call his father. Now, Jack could have done that, hours earlier with what he already knew of from the looks of it, but that wasn't the case. At the time of when Jack supposedly already knew about Noah's death, Jack was just texting his father and saying, oh, let's go fishing, I'll meet you over there. Why would you be doing that when you already know the death of the person? But then you've already said to someone else, right, we've got plans, let's go there. And then just a bit later you think, well, you know what? I already know about the death of Noah, but I didn't tell him. I just said, we'll go fishing. Well, I'll just tell him now that we can't now. It sounds like it's like some kind of planned alibi in a dodgy way. It says afterwards, it's kind of blurry, Jack says, of the minutes that followed. Is it so? Much of that Labor Day weekend had been spent with a close group of 9 friends who grew up together. They drank, they went hog hunting. Oh, hog hunting. In Jack's ATV side by side, and by that Sunday night, the party had ramped up with social media blast extending to a group of teens and young adults from Texas who were strangers to Noah and most of the others, according to Jack. See, this is the thing. Oh, just a close group of 9 friends, and yet at the party it was described that there was 30 to 40 people. That's a massive influx. Now the question what I have is, and it's not been answered, who the hell was at the party on Friday? Why does no one talk about Friday? People can say, we don't talk about Bruno. No, I don't care about Bruno. Yeah, the ginger cat outside's called Bruno, Maria, but we ain't got time for that. We need to be focusing in on Friday, Saturday, and maybe Monday. How many people were at the party? Who was first at the party on Friday? Then Saturday. Well, we heard about Caden coming round to the party on Saturday. Same with Noah Presgrove. So Caden and Noah started on Saturday and arrived. They did not visit the party the day before the beginning on Friday. But who was at the party on Friday then? How many were at the party? I'm assuming Carter Combs and Avery Combs at least, because they supposedly lived there at the time. But who else, right? And on what day did you get the massive influx of people? Now, is there any truth about the Labor Day weekend and spending time with a group of 9 close friends who grew up together? Well, let's try and count all the names if it does add up to 9. And this is based off what Caden Pressey said Sunday morning when they all went out to Warwick gas station. You had Caden, you had Noah, you had Jack, Avery, Carter, Jasmine, Mikey, Brylan Sweat, and Isaac Rojas. Boom! That's 9 people. So that's it. That, I guess, links in with this. Those 9 people went Sunday morning to Warwick, a gas station, ate out, and then were dropped off back at the party house. Who was dropped off? The girls. Jasmine Millan, Carter Combs, Avery Combs, and Caden Pressey. They remained at the party house doing whatever. Okay? And then the remainder of guys, Jack, Noah, Brylan, Mikey, Isaac Rojas, and any other things I've missed out, they went back out to town, and supposedly with Jack Newton's father, Caleb Newton, from what Caden said in his interview. What did they go up to? Unknown. Did anything go wrong? Unknown. But at some point they made it back to the party. And then after that, the hog hunting, well, Caden said that they went hunting for animals, possums and birds, could be doves, I think. You know, things like that. Okay. With the nine, well, not with the nine, with the 5 or 6 guys, 5 guys. That sounds a bit dodgy, but you get what I'm saying, 5 guys hunting. And then making it back before it got to night time, back to the party. Yeah, that ties in with Caden Pressey and what he said. Fair enough. And then by then, Sunday, things ramped up. Well, if things ramped up there, what, a social media blast? What, people extensively documenting it and posting it online? Because that's where it really kicked off. Well, why was Saturday so subdued then? Saturday wasn't a blast, it didn't ramp up, but surely it did if there was an argument between Noah Presgrove and Jack Newton Saturday night or so, which then may have ultimately led to Noah distancing himself from Jack on that Saturday and then heading back Sunday morning, arriving at his house back there, which is north, about 42 miles away. So, you know, what about that situation? I know Caden Pressey said himself, well, Saturday, that was like a normal time, a normal party, nothing to see there. And like how it's worded here, not much to see. It was Sunday where it all started getting active. I think Saturday is being neglected. Hell, I think Friday is heavily underestimated. Why can't we look at that? Why is no one talking about it, right? And maybe people could say because it didn't happen or there wasn't anything significant. Well, if it can be debunked, then it should be, but it's not even being debunked. So, there we go. And it says here, the group of teens and young adults from Texas who were strangers to Noah and most of the others, according to Jack, and most of the others. So if the majority are strangers to Noah, then if Noah did anything, you know, which they wouldn't understand, like a joke or a prank, it could backfire, right? Especially if you do it around people you don't know, they could react differently. And if we're saying that there's 9 people, 9 long-time friends that were at the party, all the names that I mentioned before, right? Those 9. And in total, there's about 40 people present. Interesting, right? Like 29, 30. So the majority still are strangers then. You got 9 friends, and then the remainder, out of the 40 people that were there, the remainder were all strangers, and only 9 at the party knew each other. That sounds like an absolute disaster. Why would you do that? But granted, even though there was a handful or the majority that was strangers to Noah, out of those 9 friends that knew one another, they individually had their own friends and did like a +1 or a +2 to the party, even though they weren't invited to begin with. I guess that's how it's meant to be worded as. It then goes on to say that Jack Newton says he went to bed at 2 in the morning, local time on Monday, September 4th. Before getting in bed, he says he put his thermal rifle in his truck and squirreled his ATV keys in the bedroom so no one would shoot or drive drunk. Hold on. When Jack says he put his rifle in his truck, I'm assuming, what, in the passenger seat? In the back seat? I mean, what does his truck look like? Do you know, like when you get those like pickup trucks with the open trailer round the back where you can store things in but there's no cover over it? Is that what Jack's vehicle was? It just sounds very irresponsible. So you take your rifle to the truck, which is outside of the house, but everyone else has their rifles inside of the house. Why are you separating your own particular rifle? Is it because it's going to be used later individually? Or is it because you don't want that rifle to be involved with all the others if any of them get caught up in any confusion? Very interesting. And why would you even leave your rifle outside, even if it is locked up, when it's out of your possession, out of your grasp? Someone could come along, smash the vehicle up and gain access to it. I don't know. Is that a possibility? If everyone else left the rifles inside of the house, then why didn't Jack? Why did he have to separate and isolate his specific one? I wonder. That he squirreled his ATV keys in the bedroom. In the bedroom? Oh. So they're saying that when Jack went to sleep, he went to sleep in what? One of the girls' bedrooms? I mean, it wouldn't be a shock because at the end of the day at the time, Jack's girlfriend was Carter Combs and Carter Combs has her own bedroom there. So did they sleep together? We don't need to get into really key details or focus in there too much. But, in terms of the sleeping arrangements, kind of interesting considering that Noah supposedly wanted to sleep in Carter Combs' bedroom at a certain point in time. But let's just remember, whilst Jack may say he went to bed at 2 a.m, it was Caden Pressey that said he was about to go to sleep at 2 a.m, his first time sleeping. And he noticed that Jack was still awake. And at least 43 minutes later, at 2:43 in the morning, Caden Pressey was awakened by his mum calling, concerned for the cousin. It was resolved in the end, but nevertheless, that phone call woke Caden up. But what it did enable with Caden was to be able to be conscious again 43 minutes later, 43 minutes after Jack has already said he's gone to sleep at 2 a.m, and when Caden was looking around, he identified and saw that Jack, Jasmine Millan, Noah Presgrove, and supposedly others was still awake. Okay? Was it 2:43 when they were playing beer pong? Maybe. I can't quite remember. I know beer pong was described, but I'm not sure if it's 2:43 or later around 5:15. Maybe 2:43. But nevertheless, the key thing is Jack says he went to sleep at 2 a.m. Caden Pressey did as well. Yet 43 minutes later when Caden was awake, he saw Jack was awake and never went to sleep in the first place. So it shows that Jack is lying there based off what Caden has said, who is a witness. Okay? Let's see. It says, but an hour or so later, Jack says Noah grabbed the keys and a group took off on his ATV, which tipped over, although no one was visibly injured. Noah grabbed the keys. My question is, why did Noah grab the keys? Did Noah grab the keys to that ATV? Or, no, side by side? Did Noah grab the keys to that side by side before or after he asked people for a lift back home? Was there a level of desperation? Was Noah getting agitated and felt, you know what, I'm getting sick and tired of this. Sunday night, early hours of Monday morning, like 1 a.m, I've been reaching out, I've been asking people, can I have a lift back? And everyone keeps turning me down. So what's the next best thing? Well, I don't have a vehicle of my own. Hell, I might as well just grab those keys of my best friend. I can always return it back later, get the keys, get to that side-by-side and drive back home. But in attempting to do so, he ended up tipping it over because he was drunk. Is that a possibility? I've not seen anyone word it like that before. I've not either. But is there a possibility that one of the reasons as to why Noah decided to drive the side-by-side is because he wanted to get back home? Right? Because he asked others and they turned him down. It all depends what order and what time it occurred in, right? Noah might have just been messing about with that side-by-side and it tipped over. If he was drifting or driving about, Jack claimed it was round the back of the house. Is that because that's where the vehicle was to begin with? Or was that on the front? Or was it in the barn? I don't know personally. But for Noah and a group as well to have taken off in that side-by-side, and it all occurred on site of the property, not down the highway, as I first thought. You remember that? When there was confusion there? Well, it was cleared up from the looks of it. No damage, no visible injuries, it just tipped over. Okay. But did it tip over because Noah was messing about with the vehicle, or was he attempting to try and leave the place to get back home? And the reason why there was a group of people that were in the vehicle with him is because they wanted to get back home as well. But then, how did they get there to the party in the first place? Are the same people, the same group that took off with Noah in that side-by-side, the same people that were in the vehicle which picked Noah up Sunday morning or 5 p.m. Sunday to get him to the party house? I wonder. And still, till this day, no one has answered it, right? Yeah, there was references made on Facebook in the community that 5 p.m. Sunday, that's when Noah received a call, or when he was picked up just after, when a call was made with his best friend Jack about, hey, come back down to the party Sunday, 5 p.m, picked up, driven down there. Okay? Any links to this? Are these guys taken off in the side-by-side with Noah, or are they just all messing about? Some important questions not answered. Dodgy. Oh, they're on a bike. Okay. Other partygoers who declined an ignored interview request later told Jack that Noah became disgruntled after 2 female friends apparently separately rebuffed him. What, rejected? Or Sam? Is that the sleeping scenario situation? Interesting how earlier on this article said, a wide range of people were interviewed and details received, and now it just suddenly says other partygoers who declined an ignored interview request. Why did they decline it? Why did they ignore it? If they claimed to care about the case and Noah, then they would have done those interviews. If they only care about themselves and their own safety, then they would have done those interviews to portray an innocent side to them early on. By rejecting it, by not doing this, and by not participating, but at the same time being quite gobby elsewhere and giving different stories, it's just not a good look. Okay? So why did they refuse to do interviews? I mean, Jack was willing to do an interview. Is that just to save his face? To appear good? To appear like the best friend that's deeply troubled by the events and everything that's happened? I guess. But, you look at Caden Pressey, partygoer and a friend, but not a close friend to know. But even he's been able to speak up and shed light on the situation. So why can't other people? Or will it be a domino effect with time? We'll see. But these other partygoers later told Jack, so this implies that Jack didn't know at the time or see it happening. Noah was disgruntled, so got frustrated, annoyed, a bit angry with 2 female friends, which probably is Carter Combs and Avery Combs, right? It says here, in quotes, "I'm going to go and cool off," Noah Presgrove said, per the version of events later relayed to Jack, who nonetheless acknowledges that there are conflicting recollections. Really? Of one such disputed detail, he says, I'm guessing Jack says, "Everybody I asked will tell you a different story." Yes, but you, Jack, you've told different stories as well. Come on. What the hell's going on? My question is, right, it's good what Caden Pressey did with his interview, but wouldn't it be even better if Isaac Rojas, Brylan Sweat and Mikey all did separate interviews, because they were around at certain times with Caden tagging along, doing stuff, right? Earlier on Sunday, later on Sunday, early hours of Monday, 5:15. Would they have said the same thing? We need to check for consistency there, right? Those that are together with one another should all be saying the same thing individually, so there's no biasness, interviewer effect biasness, and it just reinforces that consistency, okay? Because from the other people that have given stories, as like what Jack says here, supposedly, all conflicting, and everybody will tell you a different story, even though they may have been with one another at the time. Well, wouldn't it be good if someone like Caden Pressey, who's already done it, but then the likes of Isaac, Brylan and Mikey say all the same things individually, and that would be the first time consistency is established with a group set of individuals that were here and there together. Wouldn't that be good? Wouldn't that break the original narrative of all the conflicting recollections? It's just not happened yet. It says Noah had changed into Jack's wrestling shorts, white with splotches of red and grey after the ATV incident, and he slipped on 2 mismatched shoes as he walked out the door around 3:30 a.m, Jack tells people. So, after the ATV incident, Noah Presgrove slipped on... Oh my God, the wording. I was reading it as Noah was walking and he fell over some bloody shoes. No, slipped on. So basically, Noah put on two mismatched shoes, one which was his, Adidas or Adidas, the other one being Caden Pressey's. Why did he put on mismatched shoes? I don't know. Was he in a rush and he wasn't quite thinking clearly? Maybe. And he walked out the door around 3:30 a.m., Jack tells people. And that's why it's been for some time. But what about the argument? When does that come in? Was it during 3:30? After 3:30? Before 3:30? That doesn't seem to be acknowledged here, does it? And an argument is very important. Justin Roy reinforced it with his family that were down at the party that relayed it to him, that there was a very aggressive argument, confrontation with Noah and Jack, and that there was pushing and shoving. Around 3:30, supposedly? That's quite serious, but it's not mentioned here. So, Noah changed into Jack's wrestling shorts, which just so happened to be white. So, if that's the case, that Noah was wearing Jack's shorts, based off that, by the time he was found on the highway and Caden Pressey got there at 5:20 in the morning, why did Caden say that the shorts were black? Is it because to him they were black because it was dark, early hours of the morning? Or what else could have happened? Well, let's just put Caden Pressey aside. And let's just say that they were white and they were Jack's shorts. So now Noah's found dead on the side of the highway wearing Jack's white shorts. And then supposedly the body's tampered with, like how Caden suggested from what he saw individually. Why? Why would the body be tampered with? Oh, we found Noah's dead body and, he's wearing your shorts, Jack. Oh, maybe we should take them off and replace them for someone else's so you don't get caught up within it, because why would Noah be wearing your clothing? That sounds a bit weird. Would it link back to you? Maybe we need to get rid of it. Oh my God. So if that's supposedly the case, then what coloured shorts would it replace with then? Well, it was still described as white shorts. So you're saying that Noah was wearing Jack's white shorts, found dead on the highway, still wearing them, then the body was tampered with and the shorts were replaced with other white shorts. Then at what point did the black shorts end up and where? And why were they washed and then handed over to Dale and Presgrove afterwards? What the hell? Now this is just one of many stories, I guess. I'm still sticking with the black shorts story, okay? Because there's a bit more consistency there and it makes more sense when you look at it long term. Here though, if Noah was wearing Jack's white shorts and still wearing them by the time he was found on the highway, why were the shorts taken off? Why was Jack's shorts taken off Noah's dead body then on the side of the highway? Is it because Jack didn't want it being traced back to him? He didn't like the idea of knowing wearing Jack's clothing at a time of death, so replaced them for someone else's shorts. But who else's shorts would they be? It would have to be Noah's other shorts, and who would have access to them? What a messy situation. Anyway, in quotes, Jack says, their house is damn near half a mile from the road. Nobody expected him to walk to the highway. No one expected him to walk to the highway. But how did people expect him to get back home then if people rejected Noah's offer when wanting to be transported back because he was given a lift there in the first place? Noah was dependent on other partygoers to get from point A to point B and back. But no one expected him to walk to the highway. Well, then what did you expect him to do? If Noah kept coming and going or supposedly going missing at some point or the night before, and he may have been uncomfortable or needed to go because he felt like he didn't want to be around anymore, where else would he go then? Obviously, he wants to get back home. And how else could he get back home? Could that ATV or side-by-side incident tie in with Noah attempting to desperately get back home and it just didn't work out? And then he was escorted back into the house. It sounds like a horror film. You're trying to escape from somewhere. You have a crash. You get stuck. The others come out and say, where do you think you're going? Come back into the house now. We're going to keep close tabs on you. Almost sounds like a horror film, doesn't it? If you look at it that way. It says, when Noah did not immediately return, another partygoer whose father declined an interview request on her behalf posted on social media that he was missing, along with two spiral-eyed emojis. Oh no! In a later explanation of her post, she wrote on Facebook that she had posted that way, not knowing that the worst was going to happen, not knowing Noah would never come back. Missing person or not, the case is not a missing person case. Because at the end of the day, it wasn't that important enough for people to report him missing. No missing person report was filed in, let alone reporting his dead body in on the side of the highway when it could have been done earlier, but hours later it was done by bloody strangers. What a disaster. What a mess. Okay? So, who is the father of Jasmine Millan? Where it says here, posted on her behalf, her being Jasmine Millan took a Snapchat post at 3:41 a.m. in the morning, 11 minutes after Noah supposedly left the party. Okay, saying, well, Noah's missing, while smiling, not taking it serious at the time. So then, at what point did they take it serious then? I wonder. What's the name of the father to Jasmine Millan? I can't remember. There's so many names all over the places. There's like 2 to 3 JMs. One's called Jody. Another one's called Jasmine. Another one's called Jade. Jade and Jasmine are sisters to one another. And then the mother, Renee Millan. Who's the father then? Okay? If anyone can explain down below, that'll be good. I would have heard it before, but I can't remember every name, right? But the father who declined an interview. Who else declined an interview? This interview starts off with many people were interviewed, but by the way, these people turned down the interviews. Well, what good is that then? Why is everyone turning down interviews? If you want to set the record straight or you just want to save yourself in a selfish way, why don't people do it then? I wonder. But yeah, this father to Jasmine Millan, besides declining an interview, request posted on social media. What time was it posted on social media then? After? It would have had to have been before at least 6 in the morning on Monday then. Well, no, before 5:43. But even if the father decided to post it on social media that Noah Presgrove was missing, someone who wasn't even there at the party, but a family member, a parent, decided to post it on behalf of Jasmine Millan, who didn't take it serious at the time, but this father did, and yet even though you posted it publicly online, supposedly you would expect around the time of before Noah's body was actually found on the highway, but there was no aim or decision of, you know what? If it's serious enough to post it publicly to try and spread awareness, maybe we should also call the police and file a missing person report. But maybe we won't. What a load of bollocks that is. Pathetic. In a later explanation of her post, yes, it was a later explanation of her post on Facebook, which was posted November the 3rd, 2023. We've seen it extensively already. She wrote on Facebook that she had posted that way, not knowing that the worst was going to happen, not knowing Noah would never come back, even though he was known to wander off beforehand. As in what? At that same party or in the past? Well, it seemed like Sarah Long, the sister to Stevie Howard, and Stevie Howard is the mother to Carter Combs and Avery Combs, but still friends to Jasmine Millan because of all their bloody connections and stuff. Sarah Long left a comment on that post in November onwards, I believe, and maybe even beyond that elsewhere, defending Jasmine and saying how, yeah, but, you know, the night before he went missing and you went looking for him, you found him. You weren't expecting to know that it would happen again and it would be the last time and he wouldn't come back. Right, okay. What else do we have here? Bold people. Now, when I first saw that, I thought that was like an Instagram bold filter, but it's actually real because it says Noah Presgrove centered the screen with the wonky face, with Jack Newton on the left, shaved their heads in solidarity after Noah's great-grandmother, Sandra Quisenberry, was diagnosed with cancer. So there you go there. That necklace, what Noah's wearing, is that the same chain necklace which was at the party, I wonder? In the hours after Noah was found, several other partygoers who learned of Noah's death when Jack briefly returned to Terrell home with the news also went to the scene, Jack says. Oh no. Based off everything what we've read up above, this implies 6 in the morning onwards. After Noah was found, well, Noah was found 5:43, reported between that and 5:53. Then 6:18, first police guy came on down. 6 in the morning, Jack got there, as he claims, for the first time, shocked and, worried. Are we saying that at 6:15, that's when Jack made it back to the party house to let everyone know, even though Caden Pressey said it happened at 5:15? Now, Stevie Howard in recent times suggested maybe Caden got it wrong. Maybe it wasn't 5:15, but 6:15. That throws a massive spanner in the works, because how it's implied here, saying that in the hours after the body was found, learning of Noah's death, Jack returned to the party house. How we've heard it was Jack returned to the party house at 5:15. That was much earlier on, even before the police were made aware of it all. Okay? And yet, how it's worded here, it implies 6 in the morning, 6:15 onwards. I mean, this is the ideal innocent storyline, but it's not been worded like that in the past, right? Is there a small chance that when Caden was awoken at 5:15, or claims to, when he looked at his phone, it wasn't 5:15, it was 6:15? Is it easy to make a mistake like that? Maybe at times. But if that was the case, it really undoes everything, and it would be such a shame because it turns everything upside down yet again. So, yeah, this timeline may benefit Jack more than Caden, from how it's worded here. It says, Jack says he waved them off before they neared Noah's body, telling them that they should go back. Oh, hold on a minute. No, this doesn't seem to imply about the Caden Pressey situation, because, okay, it's not even mentioned it at all, but, the first time round when other partygoers arrived at the scene, it was because of Jack heading down to the party house and telling people the situation, and that's what then led to them going down to the highway. But how it's worded here is that these other partygoers, with the names not exactly mentioned, ended up coming on down the highway, and just before they got there, Jack was warning them to turn around because of what's happened. So that would imply that Jack didn't... Well, no, he returned. Okay. No, yeah. Jack... Let's just base it off the 5:15 one, because it's easier to remember. 5:15, Jack returns back to the party house to let people know, as it's possibly worded here. Heads back quickly, whilst the other partygoers are still trying to search around for the bloody shoes and stuff. Eventually getting out, arriving at 5:20, and this has been worded as Jack waved them down and said, no, you need to turn back. Stupid, you're going to go down to the party house to announce some shocking news, and you're not even going to stick around long enough to tell them about the context, and you just leave immediately. I mean, what do you expect? Those people just to sit there and remain? No, of course they're going to go down to the highway to try and figure out what the hell's going on. That's normal behaviour. And Jack is supposedly waving them down to turn back round, but obviously that's not what Caden said. Caden said that they got there, they all got out, and then looked at the scene, and 10 minutes later ordered to leave, but not by Jack, but by one of the truck drivers. And that wasn't Tyler, and it wasn't Tyler Hardy. It was the first wave of truckers that were there before Caden got there. Before or after Jack was there, much earlier on? I don't know. Anyway, it says Tyler Hardy, one of the 911 callers, as well as a local sheriff, I guess that's Jeremiah Wilson, who was on the scene that morning, and Jack, amongst others, all described Noah as being naked and say that Jack moved the shorts soon after arriving to find Noah's body. Right, that would make sense, as in when Tyler Hardy reported seeing shorts in the middle of the road, and maybe Jack decided to move them so they wouldn't get damaged. Okay, but what the hell? I've never heard that worded like that before by Jack. That shorts were moved. I mean, it doesn't mention here that the shorts were in the middle of the road, but that's what Tyler Hardy saw himself. And if Jack was to move them, it would make sense, because if they're on the road, you want to preserve them. Now, yeah, you probably shouldn't be touching anything to begin with, because it's a scene, a murder scene, possibly a crime scene, whatever, and it needs to be, the remnants and the bits and bobs need to be kept as they are, so they're not contaminated. So technically, Jack contaminated the shorts. Or did he feel like he decided to move them because they were his, so he didn't really care? I wonder. But, how Jack says, soon after arriving to find Noah's body dead for the first time round at 6 a.m. because Tyler Hardy was already there and decided to move the shorts, and the sheriff allowed that. Why didn't the sheriff move the shorts down? Or why didn't the sheriff tell Jack to keep the shorts as they were? It's an active, ongoing case and the beginning of an investigation. It shouldn't be touched. And yeah, it was Caden Pressey that said Noah wasn't naked, that Noah was wearing shorts, specifically black shorts, at 5:20 a.m, much earlier on, and as well describing Jack being present there as well. At the end of the day, it's Caden Pressey versus Jack Newton. They both encountered truck drivers. They were both together at some point, but then after, not exactly. Is this some kind of like parallel universe or something? This is really intricate. Is it breaking the fourth wall? I don't know. It says Jack says he tossed his shorts in his truck to make sure they did not blow away with the passing traffic. Passing traffic? It was Jack that said there was zero traffic at the time. What is going on? But Jack tossed his shorts in his truck, even though they were the shorts that Noah wore during the death? You shouldn't be touching evidence like that and moving it about. That's contaminating evidence. So that's dodgy in its own right. It says ultimately the shorts were folded beside Noah. Oh, in the end they were folded. Bloody hell, those shorts get about a lot, don't they? Both Jefferson County Sheriff Jeremiah Wilson and Jack Newton say that Oklahoma Highway Patrol, which took the lead on the investigation, given where Noah's body was found, but have said little as their probe continues, were made aware of the change. Old photos there. Oh my God. Do you know what? Anyone watching right now, this is really creepy. I think Noah's on the right, is he? Yeah, I guess so. But let me just say something. I don't know if anyone can see, but you know that guy on the left? On the left, you know, the guy on his knees there? Based off that hair colour and based off that face, that literally looks like Dylan Klebold, the 1999 Columbine shooter. Dylan Klebold. What the hell? That's creepy. Doesn't it look like Dylan Klebold? If you don't know who he is, search it online. I think the other shooter was Eric Harris. I can't remember the full names, but two guys, 1999 Columbine shooters, school shooters. Wow, that really stands out. It's that hair, the curls, the pointed nose, the facial expression, the pointed chin. That's creepy. Let me know in the chat right now, can you see the resemblances? Now, let's move on. In the passing months, as more and more locals speak up, pushing for answers in Noah's case, more and more people across the country have also started to follow coverage of the strange case. That was fueled interest in getting to the truth that Noah's family says they appreciate. It has also fed rumours and theories that they find unhelpful, even painful. Jack has been a target of some of this. I mean, if your stories switch and change over time and you also say that Noah passed away at 4 a.m. in an actual visible recorded text message, but you don't give any context behind it afterwards and expect things to be normal, I don't think so, right? And when they say that people have found it very unhelpful and painful, is that saying that the family have been impacted by this? What exact rumours and theories are being talked about here? Is this throwing shade at the Reddit page? Is this throwing shade at one of the Facebook pages, Noah Presgrove's Army? I wonder what's going on here. It says his dad, Caleb Newton, says in an interview with People. Oh wait, so Caleb Newton has done an interview as well? Is this recent? Is it in the past? Is this at the same time as Jack's? I wonder. Caleb says in an interview that Jack Newton is now feeling the double loss of his best friend and the community where he grew up. Why is he feeling the loss of the community though? Detached from people, others around him because of how they've acted and behaved? Even though Jack said, you know, we all cared about Noah, we all loved him, no one would harm him. So then why would the community be broken then? Unless it means something else. In quotes, he feels like they went and turned their back on him, says Caleb, just over all these lies and accusations. What? Is this implying with the likes of Carter Combs, who supposedly turned her back on Jack Newton as well, hence why they broke up, and yet it was Jack Newton just recently sticking up for Carter Combs. Did I say Caleb before? Apologies if I said Caleb. Carter Combs breaking up, vice versa, or what, with Jack Newton no longer together? Is that what's meant here when Caleb requotes saying, just over all these lies and accusations, that my son Jack feels like they turned their backs on him? What about Caden Pressey? Oh my God. Crazy this, isn't it? Oh, it's all about Jack. Oh, everyone's turning their backs on Jack. You know, he feels isolated and alienated now. What about Caden Pressey that's received supposed death threats, supposed gaslighting, people bashing him on private pages, certain family members or friends of those partygoers doing that and engaging in it? Besides what Jack may be going through, what about Caden Pressey by the same people that maybe Jack is connected to? The hypocrisy, the double standards. Wow. Now, it wasn't that long ago, I think Sarah Long was speaking on behalf of Carter Combs and Avery Combs, saying how those girls have received death threats and damage to their property. What? Do you remember that? What damage exactly? But no, vague, no descriptions, no examples. That's typical. People tend to not give much, only suggest a little bit when they don't have much substance behind it in the first place. They're not expecting other people to call them up and say, you know what, can you elaborate on that? And they're like, no, I can't, because it's not exactly true. I was just saying it just for impact and effect. Oh no. This is terrible. Let's see what else. Both Caleb and Jack say they are skeptical of foul play. State police have said they aren't investigating the death as a murder, but some law enforcement officials and outside experts have raised questions about the details of how Noah was found. That has only put more attention on the party that Noah attended before he died. More attention on the party, and yet no attention, no searches done, no effort. In quotes, I can't believe that any of them could even know that something happened and not say something, Caleb says, pushing back on concerns of a serious crime. In quotes, there are no evidence of any kind of a beat-up, no evidence of any kind of the big stuff that everybody's talking about. It's all just made up, he says. So you saying that those injuries sustained and the torn scalp is very normal and the lack of blood is very normal and none of it links to a beat-up, even though there are experts out there that have suggested some kind of beating has taken place? Caleb, who's not even an expert there, is he in the place to be speaking? I don't think so. Wow. Jack, for his part, believes Noah may have fallen victim to a freak accident at the end of a rowdy night. Oh, you mean falling out of a vehicle or something? To me, it seems like he asked somebody for a ride and fell out back of the truck. I don't know, something like that, Jack says. But Jack was also there to say about the white semi-truck which clipped him. He was obsessed over that or the Texas boys giving him a lift, right? One or the other. Just so happens that the description here is very convenient to the supposed forensic pathologist and former coroner on Reddit that said the same thing. Any influence? He says the random people throwing around my name and running it down have voiced skepticism about his story really don't hurt my feelings too bad. It's just the people that have known me and Noah forever and were around, he says, that's the people that get to me. So supposedly that Jack's friends and close ones who he's known for a long time, the 8-9 other people around him have turned their backs on him. What about Caden Pressey? It seems as if that Jack is implying that Caden has turned his back on Jack as well. And yet Caden Pressey, okay, he might have distanced himself, but you've seen in the interviews, even Caden has said he doesn't want to speak bad about Jack. So after all of this and what Caden has gone through, Caden has refrained from name-calling or negatively calling out Jack. And yet Jack is acting like the wounded animal and that everybody's turned their backs on him. Oh, come on, what is happening? So I wasn't expecting to come across Caleb Newton, the father, in that interview as well. No mention about the golf clubs, but if there's anything convenient or anything that could get in their way or end up on their doorstep, literally or not quite, obviously they're not going to address. There was no mention at all in the article about any argument taking place from Saturday or Monday. Jack mentioned nothing about that. The beginning of that bloody interview was stating 6 in the morning onwards and then working their way back without mentioning Caden Pressey, without mentioning 5:20, 5:30, going from 3:30 to 3:41 to 6 in the morning, and all the things in between being neglected and missed out. Definitely, well, not definitely, but it feels really, really dodgy, that interview. You thought some people may have been skeptical of Caden Pressey's, fair enough. Well, think again. Look at this interview by Jack. Didn't even speak it out. We're just looking at it word for word transcripts, which is probably more important to be able to hear it clearly and see it exactly. But wow, that's not good, that situation. To talk about the shorts, but they were Jack's, but they were still removed, and then they end up on the side of the road, and then they were put aside, but then chucked in the vehicle, but they're not folded up again afterwards. Too much to process today, but if you don't remember it all, you don't need to worry, because there might be a chance that quite a bit that's been mentioned today could be BS. You never know, right? It's nice to stick with a certain story by a key witness in a form of hope of having some kind of consistency and truth behind it. Caden Pressey is a good example because it all ties in with the timelines, but it does make Jack look more suspicious. If you used to focus in on Jack's timeline, then it makes Caden Pressey look a little bit suspicious and make Jack look more innocent. It's like two forces, light and dark. Caden Pressey, Jack Newton, both there at a certain time, but also not, and seeing different things. It comes across as if Jack Newton is on the side of Tyler Hardy from what Tyler Hardy has said about Caden Pressey and what was seen and what happened and what didn't. And the whole separating one's rifle from all the others outside instead of leaving them inside. Yeah, weird. This is one of the weirdest interviews that I've looked at. I want to know your thoughts down below. Hopefully I didn't miss out too much contradictions, but if I did, you can leave comments down below. Be sure to like and share this video. If you want to share it on Facebook, feel free, Reddit, whatever. And we'll see what other people think about it and see what happens next. Interesting how all of a sudden Jack's decided to do an exclusive interview along with the father Caleb to a small degree. Who will be interviewed next? What will happen next? I wonder, how does Caden Pressey react to this? Something tells me he's probably not going to be too pleased about it. I don't know if that will trigger another follow-up on Partners in True Crime podcast there. Time will tell. But a lot to take in. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your patience. I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.